Hello and welcome, dreamy thinkers and gentle night owls. You've arrived at Sleepy Science Story, or your cozy corner for drifting somewhere softer, quieter, and a little more curious. This is your time to slow down, to let the world outside blur at the edges, and to rest easy under the hush of an evening sky. Tonight, we're going to tiptoe into one of those everyday mysteries that almost feels too simple to ask, why is the sky blue? Not just what makes it blue, but how and why, and what that means for sleepy souls like us beneath its endless reach. We'll float together on beams of sunlight, wander with air molecules, and follow every shade of blue from morning until starlight, all without ever leaving our pillows. I do hope this video isn't so interesting that it keeps you wide awake, but if it does, at least you'll have a head full of sky and a pocket of gentle science to take into your dreams. Before we begin our soft journey skyward, let me ask, where in the world are you listening from tonight? Let me know in the comments. It's always wonderful to imagine this blue sky shared by sleepy minds all around the globe. If you find comfort in these gentle science stories, a sleepy like and a soft tap on subscribe would mean the world. Thank you for being part of this little corner of curiosity. And remember, this is just a bedtime ramble, never medical advice. Let your mind wander wherever it needs. Now, let's take a slow breath together. Not to fill our lungs with answers, but because we're about to drift into something simple and wonderful, the story of the blue sky and all the soft secrets it keeps. It's such a familiar thing, isn't it? You wake up, stretch toward the window, and the first thing you notice is the endless blanket of blue stretched across the sky. Sometimes it's soft as robin's eggs, other times a deeper, richer shade, but always there, gently hanging over rooftops, forests, and sleepy city streets. The blue sky is so ordinary that most days we hardly think about it at all. It's just part of the world's background music, quietly humming above us as we walk to the mailbox or sip our morning tea. Yet, if you pause, just for a moment, and let your gaze drift upward, there's something quietly miraculous about it. Not so long ago, the color of the sky was a deep mystery, a puzzle that puzzled philosophers and poets alike. Why blue? Why not green or yellow or even pink? It's as if the sky could have chosen any color from nature's palette, but instead, it settles again and again on that same gentle blue, day after day, year after year. Sometimes, I like to imagine the sky as an old friend who's been painting the world in blue since long before there were humans around to notice. Even the earliest cave painters, tucked away in their shadowy shelters, probably glanced up and wondered at the vastness above them, maybe sensing some quiet comfort in that endless color. On especially clear days, the blue can be so perfect and complete that it almost feels like velvet stretched to the horizon, softening every edge, smoothing out every worry, coaxing even the busiest mind to slow down just a little. When you're small, maybe lying in the grass, the blue overhead can seem impossibly huge and mysterious, as if it might go on forever, a gentle roof for the whole world. As adults, we carry that memory somewhere deep down, a quiet reassurance that the sky, in its familiar blueness, is always there, no matter what changes below. But of course, the blue sky is more than just a backdrop for birds and clouds and airplanes tracing their gentle lines. It's a living phenomenon, shaped by the journey of sunlight through air, the restless ballet of molecules, and the hidden dance of color and light. In the day's early hours, the blue seems fresh and pale, quietly brightening as the sun climbs. By afternoon, it can grow bold and endless, a color so deep it almost swallows thought, itself. And in those rare moments just after rain, the blue returns with a clarity so pure it feels like the world has been rinsed and renewed, inviting you to breathe in and let your mind wander. Tonight, as you listen, I invite you to let that color settle softly in your imagination. Picture the blue sky not as a riddle to be solved, but as an old companion always ready to watch over you as you drift toward dreams. Perhaps, in a few gentle moments, we'll find out why the sky chose blue after all, or perhaps, as is often the case with life's simplest wonders, we'll simply learn how to enjoy it even more. Long before sunlight ever touches your cheek or flickers through the curtains, it's already been on quite the journey. Imagine, if you will, that every morning sunlight began its travels in the heart of the sun, squeezed out from the roiling radiant center. weaving its way through millions of miles of tangled solar material and finally bursting out into the open sea of space. There, it races silently, carrying with it a secret cargo. Sunlight is so much more than just brightness. It's a kind of invisible messenger, ferrying every color you've ever seen, and even a few you never will, all woven together in a beam so ordinary we rarely pause to consider its magic. It's easy to think of sunlight as white or yellow, but the truth is, it holds every hue you could imagine, and some you couldn't, bundled together in perfect harmony. Each tiny piece of sunlight, each photon, is actually a little piece of energy vibrating with its own special rhythm. Some vibrate quickly, some more slowly, and these differences are what our eyes and brains turn into color. You could say the sunlight is humming a song, one with notes of violet and indigo, blue and green, yellow and orange, even the boldest reds, all moving together in silent waves. If you've ever seen sunlight spill through a window and strike a prism or a raindrop, you've seen this hidden rainbow unfold. Suddenly, what looked like plain daylight separates into its full spectrum, revealing its secret. The sky's colors are already there, just waiting for a chance to shine. But the journey isn't over just because sunlight reaches Earth. In fact, that's when the real magic happens. As these waves of light pour through the atmosphere, they don't always travel together in a straight line. The air is full of invisible things, countless molecules drifting and bouncing, each ready to nudge or slow a ray of light on its way down. And while sunlight might have started out in perfect unity, the moment it arrives, it faces a gentle sorting process. The shorter, quicker waves, those that our eyes recognize as blue and violet, are much more easily nudged and sent spinning off in new directions, while the slower, steadier reds tend to keep their course. All of this happens above our heads every single day, whether we're watching or not. It's as if the sun is sending out a beautiful bouquet of light, and the air, busy as ever, chooses which petals to toss, which to scatter far and wide, and which to let slip quietly through. The blue is scattered in every direction, washing the sky in its gentle color, while the other hues follow a quieter path, waiting for their own time to shine. So, the next time you feel the warmth of the sun, you can imagine the light as a traveler, bringing with it an entire hidden rainbow, eager to meet the world. In a few sleepy moments, we'll follow the light's next adventure and see just how the invisible air above becomes the sky's greatest painter, all without a brush. We so often forget about the air because we cannot see it. Yet, in truth, the air is just as busy and complicated as the bustling world beneath it. Each breath you take is filled with molecules, tiny pieces of oxygen, nitrogen, a dash of argon, a whisper of carbon dioxide, all of them endlessly in motion, swirling in gentle currents. Above rooftops and tree branches, if you could shrink yourself down to the size of a dust mote and float a few feet above the ground, you'd find the sky teeming with invisible movement. Every inch of space is packed with tiny, restless molecules bouncing and spinning in all directions, brushing past each other like a crowd at a train station, never stopping, never pausing, always on the move. Sunlight, when it enters this ocean of molecules, is met not with silence but with a kind of friendly chaos. Light is not a solid thing, but a wave of energy, moving faster than anything you can truly imagine. As it slips into the air above us, each wave of sunlight encounters these tiny travelers. The moment they meet, something delightful happens. The light is jostled, nudged, sent tumbling in new directions. You can almost picture it like a game of invisible billiards, with beams of light ricocheting off the molecules in all directions, never quite knowing where they'll end up next. Some of the light will travel straight through, continuing on its journey toward the ground, but much of it is scattered by this endless dance, sent sideways or upward, even bouncing back out into space. The sky, in this way, is like an enormous theatre, and every molecule of air is a player in a vast performance, helping to direct the flow of colour above our heads. The air does not care which light passes through and which is scattered, but the physics behind their interactions has a subtle preference. As blue light comes streaming in, its shorter, sprightlier waves are much more easily deflected by the molecules of air. This makes blue light especially likely to be scattered in all directions, spreading across the whole sky. Even as you walk outside on a sunny afternoon, with your shadow at your feet and the warmth of the sun on your skin, you're surrounded by the results of this invisible scattering. Every patch of blue above you is simply sunlight, bounced from one molecule of air to another, eventually landing softly in your eyes. It's such a gentle, ordinary thing, yet the process is happening all the time, in every direction at once, making the sky look as though it's glowing with its own color. Perhaps most magical of all, this game of scattering is happening even when we are not looking. At night, when the sun is hidden, the molecules still dance on, quietly waiting for the next morning's light to return. The air, for all its invisibility, is always ready to play its part in the world's quietest magic trick, turning sunlight into an endless, peaceful blue that watches over us all. Let's drift even deeper into the story of sunlight as it meets the air, because this is where the color blue truly wins its gentle contest in the sky above. Imagine that every beam of sunlight is not just a color but a kind of secret rhythm, a wave moving with its own signature pace. Some of these waves are long and slow, like the deep notes of a cello. These belong to the reds and oranges, warm and unhurried. Others are much shorter and faster, like the quick steps of a tiny bird. These belong to the blues and violets, with energy that almost seems eager to leap in every direction at once. Now, when sunlight pours into our atmosphere, it is these faster, shorter waves that are most likely to be caught up in the bustle of air molecules. Each blue wave, vibrating many times more quickly than the longer reds, becomes an irresistible partner for the dance. As these blue waves travel along, the air's molecules snatch at them, sending them ricocheting this way and that, scattering them all across the sky. The longer red waves, meanwhile, move with a kind of stately patience, gliding almost undisturbed through the crowd, scattering much less as they travel toward the surface. This difference in behavior is at the very heart of why our sky is blue. The world above is not painted in one single sweep, but is filled with blue light that is scattered out of sunlight by the atmosphere's restless molecules. If you look up, you are seeing the result of countless blue waves, each one having been turned aside from its original path, sent spinning gently across the heavens until it finally finds its way to your waiting eyes. The reds, by contrast, pass mostly straight through, reaching the ground more directly, showing themselves most clearly only when the sun hangs low at sunrise and sunset, after traveling a much longer path through the thickening air. But there is another secret to the story. Although violet light has even shorter, sprightlier waves than blue, and is scattered even more enthusiastically by the air, our eyes simply are not as sensitive to violet. Nature, in her sleepy wisdom, gave us vision that favors blue, perhaps so we would find the sky soothing instead of startling, and the sun itself produces more blue than violet, tipping the balance further. So it is blue that wins the waltz, blue that fills our daytime hours, and blue that soothes our minds when we tilt our heads upward and simply let our gaze wander. There is something wonderfully comforting about this delicate, everyday miracle. The sky's color is not a fixed thing, but the outcome of a silent, endless dance, a conversation between sunlight and air that is happening in every moment of daylight. Each breath you take, each gentle breeze that stirs the branches, is part of the same rhythm that scatters sunlight and paints the sky above. The blue, as it turns out, is not just a color but the signature of a world in motion, a gentle waltz that has been playing since the very first dawn. Somewhere in the quiet halls of science, long before the age of satellites and computers, a gentle question was tucked away on a notepad by a man named Lord Rayleigh. He was curious about the sky, the kind of curiosity that sits with you at breakfast and lingers into the evening, quietly persistent. He wondered why the sky glowed with such a rich blue during the day and changed its mood at sunrise and sunset. This question had puzzled many before him, poets and painters and philosophers alike, but Rayleigh decided to ask in the language of mathematics and careful measurement. Rayleigh's approach was almost poetic in its patience. He did not rush toward answers. Instead, he watched and listened and calculated, tracing the way that sunlight and air might interact on the smallest possible scales. He realized that the sky's color could be explained not by some magic pigment or far-off trick of the sun, but by the very nature of air itself. The molecules that make up our atmosphere, oxygen, nitrogen, and their quiet companions are so much smaller than the waves of light passing through them. When light arrives, these molecules are like little pebbles scattered along a riverbank, and as the river of sunlight flows past, the smallest ripples are the most easily disturbed. The blue and violet waves, being shortest, are more likely to be sent tumbling off in new directions. With gentle equations and a fondness for simple beauty, Rayleigh described how this scattering happens. The effect is so sensitive that a tiny change in the size of the molecule or the color of the light would change the result entirely. But with our familiar air and our familiar sun, blue is scattered so much more than red that it fills every patch of sky above us. Rayleigh's work, often called Rayleigh scattering, gives us a quiet way to understand what looks like an enormous, mysterious miracle. Imagine, for a moment, sunlight entering the atmosphere as a graceful dancer stepping into a crowded room. The air is full of invisible partners, each one ready to gently nudge the light, sending it spinning in a new direction. The shorter blue waves are easily swept up in this dance, scattered again and again until every corner of the sky is washed in blue. The longer red waves are more stubborn, moving mostly straight ahead, so they gather near the horizon or appear in the sun's last rays at dusk. Rayleigh's insight also explains why the sky is never quite violet, even though violet is scattered more than blue. Our eyes, shaped by evolution and sunlight itself, are less sensitive to violet. The sun's own light contains less violet to begin with. And so, blue becomes the dominant color of the sky, a gentle compromise between the physics of light and the biology of seeing. Rayleigh's soft equations, written in old notebooks and remembered in classrooms today, quietly guide us as we watch the sky change above us. The story of the blue sky, it turns out, is not just one of beauty, but of patience, curiosity, and the joy of finding order in the smallest things. It might seem, at first glance, that the sky should be a soft shade of purple or violet rather than blue. After all, violet light is scattered even more enthusiastically by the molecules in our atmosphere than blue light. But if you lie back in the grass on a clear day and let your eyes wander upward, you will find blue, not purple, gazing back at you. This is a gentle puzzle that invites us to look not just at the sky, but at ourselves too, and to think about the quiet partnership between the world outside and the senses within. When sunlight arrives at the top of the atmosphere, it carries with it every color you can imagine, from deep reds to dazzling blues, with violet sitting right at the far end of the visible rainbow. As the sunlight tumbles through the ocean of air above our heads, violet and blue waves are scattered wide and far, much more than any other color. But here's where a bit of beautiful biology changes the picture. Human eyes, remarkable and complex as they are, simply do not see all colors equally. Inside your eyes are tiny cells called cones, each type tuned to its own favorite shades. Most people have three kinds, one most sensitive to red, another to green, and one that prefers blue. There is no cone that truly loves violet, so even when violet light is scattered generously through the sky, your eyes are less likely to catch it. As a result, the blue light, scattered just a little less than violet, becomes the dominant note in the symphony of daylight. Your brain, ever the thoughtful interpreter, mixes what the blue cones see with a hint of red and green for good measure, and the result is the soft, familiar blue that makes up the daytime sky. The sun itself also has a part to play in this story. Though it produces every color, it sends more blue than violet out into space, so there is simply less violet to begin with. What does make it through the upper layers of air can also be partially filtered out by the ozone high above, which absorbs some of the sun's violet and ultraviolet light before it ever reaches you. This gentle balance between the light that is scattered, the light that is filtered, and the light that your eyes can see creates the special blue of a clear sky. It is a color born not just from the physics of sunlight and the chemistry of air, but from the quiet limits and wonders of human vision itself. Other creatures, like bees or birds, might look up and see hints of purple woven into the blue, a private sky only they can enjoy. But for most of us, the blue sky remains a constant friend, simple and reassuring, neither too bold nor too strange. So the next time you wonder why the sky never quite turns purple, you can thank your eyes for their gentle preferences, the sun for its generosity with blue, and the ozone for its careful filtering. What seems like a simple question leads you gently to the heart of how you see the world, and how the world in turn quietly shapes what you see. As the day drifts slowly toward its end and the sun begins to sink lower in the sky, the blue that watched over you all afternoon starts to change. The light softens, the colors deepen, and suddenly the sky seems to pull out its warmest palette: fiery oranges, glowing reds, and the softest shades of gold. It is one of nature's most peaceful transitions, and it happens for reasons both simple and wondrous. When the sun is high above, its light has the shortest distance to travel through the atmosphere. Blue light is scattered far and wide by the busy molecules in the air, filling the sky with its familiar color. But as the sun drops toward the horizon, its rays enter the atmosphere at a much shallower angle. Now, sunlight must journey through a much longer stretch of air, meeting even more molecules and dust along the way. With every extra mile, the blue and violet waves are scattered away completely, sent off to light up the rest of the sky far from where you stand. What remains, reaching your eyes directly, are the longer, richer waves: reds, oranges, and golds. These colors are scattered the least by the atmosphere, and so they shine through the thick air, becoming stronger and more visible as the sun slips lower. This is why sunsets and sunrises feel so special, no matter where you are in the world. It is as if the sky, after a long day spent in blue, suddenly decides to paint with every shade of warmth it can find, layering the clouds and air with colors so deep they almost glow. Sometimes the colors seem to linger, spreading across the sky in gentle gradients, while at other times, a fleeting moment of crimson will fade almost before you can whisper a goodbye. Clouds add to the magic, catching the sun's fading light and reflecting it in ribbons and patches, making every sunset and sunrise unique. The shapes and heights of clouds can intensify the reds and purples, or sometimes mute them into soft pastels. The dust in the air, the clearness of the sky, and even the seasons can add their own gentle variations, ensuring that no two sunsets are ever quite alike. Some evenings, the entire sky seems to be on fire, and other times it glows with just a trace of pink, like a secret blush. It is in these moments that many people find a quiet sense of wonder. The changing sky reminds us that nothing is truly permanent, not even the color above our heads. The day's blue gives way to a spectacular finale, and the night begins its slow return. If you close your eyes and remember a sunset, you may find yourself feeling calm, even a little nostalgic, as if the colors have been painted just for you. This daily transformation is the sky's gift, a quiet celebration of the way light and air shape our world. As the last colors of daylight sink below the horizon and evening blue slips softly into twilight, you are reminded of the beauty in every ending and the promise of blue's gentle return with the next rising Sunday. On some days, the sky feels different. Instead of endless blue stretching as far as you can see, a layer of soft white clouds settles gently above the world. These drifting shapes can be as light as cotton or as thick as a cozy blanket, turning the sky into a peaceful, glowing ceiling. The blue still waits above, but it is tucked away behind the clouds, letting the white take center stage for a while. Clouds are one of the sky's quietest wonders, and they have their own special way of playing with sunlight. Each cloud is made up of countless tiny droplets of water or ice, far too small for your eye to see on its own. These droplets are like miniature mirrors, each one catching the sunlight and sending it in every direction at once. When sunlight hits a single droplet, something gentle and beautiful happens. Instead of scattering just the blue or red, the droplet sends all the colors of the sunlight out together. It is as if the cloud gathers up every part of the sun's rainbow and softly blends them into a quiet, luminous white. That is why, when you look up at a cloud, it glows with a pale brightness, no matter how thick or thin its island. Even on a bright summer day, a fluffy cumulus cloud looks almost pure white, its edges glowing with sunlight, its shadows gently grey and cool. On overcast days, when the sky is hidden behind a thick, unbroken layer of cloud, the light is softer still. Everything below seems calmer and quieter, the world bathed in gentle, even light. This is because the clouds scatter sunlight so thoroughly that no shadows can form. Every direction looks bright, and even colors on the ground seem to lose their sharpness, blending together as if the world itself is exhaling. At sunrise or sunset, clouds can transform into something truly magical. The low sun casts its golden light across their broad surfaces, turning them pink, orange, or even a deep purple. Sometimes, the bottoms of clouds glow with warm color, while their tops remain white or grey, making the sky look layered and rich. A single cloud drifting across a clear blue sky can capture the sunlight and create a bright silver lining, a gentle promise that there is always light behind even the darkest patch. Clouds are artists in their own right, constantly shifting shapes and colours, never repeating the same pattern twice. You might see a dragon, a ship, or a castle floating above, only for it to change again in the next breath of wind. Sometimes the clouds are thin as lace, letting blue shine through in delicate patterns. Other times they are so thick and close that the world feels wrapped in a soft cocoon, safe from the noise and rush below. When you see a sky full of clouds, remember that they are not hiding the blue, but joining in the sky's endless story. They scatter the sun's light so beautifully that even the bluest day can pause for a while and let the world glow white and quiet. In their gentle drifting, clouds remind us to be patient and to enjoy the softness that sometimes settles over us from above. Sometimes, after a soft summer rain, or in the quiet moments when the world is still wet and shining, the sky decides to put on a show more magical than any blue or white could ever be. That is when rainbows appear arched, delicate, and bright, hanging above fields and rooftops, surprising anyone lucky enough to look up at just the right time. It is as if the sky wants to remind you of the full secret hidden inside every ordinary ray of sunlight. A rainbow begins with sunlight, just as all sky colours do. But on these special days, the sunlight meets not just air and clouds, but a vast collection of tiny water droplets, suspended high and low throughout the sky. Each droplet becomes a little prism, waiting patiently for the sun's rays. When a beam of sunlight enters a droplet, it slows down and bends ever so slightly, as if pausing to admire the view. The light then bounces inside the droplet and bends once more as it leaves, splitting into its full spectrum of colours. From that moment, what was once a single band of white sunlight is spread out into a ribbon of colours. Red appears at one edge, followed by orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and finally violet. Each colour bends at a slightly different angle, so by the time the light leaves the droplet and travels toward your eyes, the colours have fanned out into their own quiet parade. The result, when millions of droplets work together, is a shimmering arc in the sky, with each colour gently blending into the next. Rainbows are special because you never see them in quite the same place twice. They always appear opposite the sun, and the higher the sun climbs, the lower the arc will be, sometimes so low that you can only catch a glimpse from the right window or hilltop. Sometimes, when the conditions are just right, a second, fainter rainbow appears outside the first. This secondary arc has its colours in reverse order, a rare treat for those willing to look a little longer. On occasion, you might spot a rainbow reflected in a pond or a field of dew, turning the whole world into a gallery of colours. For just a few moments, the sky offers a reminder of how every colour in sunlight has a time to shine. Even the blue that usually dominates the sky steps back, giving way to the full spectrum that waits quietly in every drop of rain. Rainbows are gentle proof that the sky is always more complicated and more beautiful than it first appears. They do not last long, often only a few minutes before the sun shifts, the droplets fall, and the colours slip quietly back into the invisible. To see a rainbow is to remember that there are hidden wonders in the simplest things. The rain and the sun, two ordinary forces, combine for something extraordinary. Next time you see a rainbow, let yourself pause and follow the arc from end to end, even if it fades away before you reach the end. It is a reminder from the sky that beauty can appear at any time, as long as sunlight and a little rain are willing to work together. As day slips into evening, there comes a time that feels softer than any other. The sky's blue, which spent all afternoon stretching endlessly overhead, begins to change in subtle ways. The sun drifts lower, its warmth easing, and the sky takes on a gentler mood. This is the hour when daylight slowly gives way to night, and something magical happens in the colour above. The blue does not simply vanish. Instead, it lingers, growing milky and pale, spreading across the horizon as if reluctant to leave. In this quiet space between sunset and darkness, the world is wrapped in a gentle blue that feels both peaceful and mysterious. This special time is often called twilight, a word that itself seems to float between waking and dreaming. The air cools, shadows lengthen, and birds grow quiet, their songs drifting away with the last rays of sunlight. The sky glows with a milky blue, sometimes tinged with lavender or soft silver. High overhead, the blue is deeper and more steadfast. Closer to the horizon, it softens, blurring into shades of pink, purple, and finally, a dusky grey as night prepares to take over. There is a sense that time slows down in this hour, allowing you to breathe a little more deeply, to notice the hush settling over the world. The reason for this change is hidden in the way sunlight travels through the thickening layers of air. As the sun slips lower, its light has farther to travel, scattering the blue waves even more and sending the other colours gently on their way. With each passing moment, the sunlight weakens and the scattered blue grows softer, fading slowly until it is almost a memory. The stars begin to appear, first as faint glimmers at the edge of your vision, then more boldly, like tiny lanterns lighting the way into night. There is comfort in this slow, graceful fading of blue. It is as if the sky knows that letting go of the day should never happen all at once. The milky twilight is the sky's gentle way of saying goodnight, wrapping the world in a last embrace before true darkness comes. If you pause during this time, perhaps sitting by a window or out on the porch, you might notice how the blue feels different than at any other hour. It is a blue filled with quiet promise, a reminder that endings can be beautiful, and that rest is just as important as waking. For many, this is the sleepiest time of day. Lamps are lit inside, the world grows quieter, and the mind begins to drift. The blue that lingers overhead seems to whisper that everything is in its right place, that day can give way to night without worry. In the milky twilight, you can feel the world settling, the last gentle colour in the sky carrying you from wakefulness to dreams, as softly as a lullaby. Far from our home planet, across millions of miles of empty space, there is a world that looks familiar in some ways but feels utterly different in others. Mars, the red planet, is a place of silent deserts and swirling dust, its skies painted in colours few of us have ever seen in real life. For all its similarities to Earth, Mars offers a lesson in how the sky's colour can change when the rules of the atmosphere are different. If you were to stand on the surface of Mars, perhaps near the shadow of a rocky outcrop or the edge of an ancient crater, and look upward, you would find no gentle blue stretching from horizon to horizon. Instead, the sky would appear as a soft butterscotch or pale pink, filled with a warm, dusty glow. The reason for this is written in every grain of Martian soil. The planet's thin atmosphere is made mostly of carbon dioxide, but the real story comes from the endless dust that hangs suspended in the air. The dust on Mars is rich in iron and is ground so fine by ancient winds that it can stay aloft for weeks at a time. Each tiny particle scatters sunlight in a new and unusual way. On Earth, the molecules in our thick atmosphere scatter blue light best, filling the sky with colour from sunrise to sunset. On Mars, though, it is the dust that takes over. Instead of scattering blue, these fine grains are better at spreading out the longer, reddish waves of sunlight. This bathes the Martian sky in colours that feel almost like the inside of a seashell: hazy oranges, soft reds, and muted golds. The blue that is so familiar to us is hidden, outnumbered, and outshined by the effects of Martian dust. Even more surprising, though, is what happens at sunset and sunrise on Mars. Just as on Earth, the sun's light must travel a longer path through the air when it hangs low on the horizon. But on Mars, something unexpected takes place. The thickest part of a Martian sunset glows blue, not red, as sunlight passing through more dust and carbon dioxide is scattered in a way that favours blue at the very heart of the sun's fading glow. Around the sun, a gentle blue halo appears, circled by warm rings of orange and pink. It is the opposite of what we see on Earth, a quiet reversal that would make any skygazer pause and wonder. Mars is a reminder that the colour of the sky is not a universal truth, but a story shaped by every planet's unique character. Change the air, change the dust, and you. Change the sky itself. On Earth, blue means comfort and familiarity, but on Mars, it is a rare surprise, appearing only at the end of the day as a brief, beautiful gift. If you ever find yourself dreaming of distant worlds, remember that the sky above may look nothing like the one you know. Each planet chooses its own colours, shaped by the silent work of air and light, telling its own sleepy story to those who wander below. Now, let's take a dreamy journey to Venus, Earth's mysterious twin, where the sky tells a very different story from the one we know. Venus is sometimes called Earth's sister, but while both planets are about the same size and made from similar materials, the sky above Venus is hidden and strange. If you were to drift down through the thick atmosphere of Venus, you would never see the familiar blue we enjoy at home. Instead, you would find yourself wrapped in a golden, hazy glow that never changes to blue no matter the hour or season. Venus has an atmosphere so dense and heavy that sunlight can barely make its way to the ground. The air is made mostly of carbon dioxide, and it is nearly 100 times thicker than the air we breathe on Earth. Floating within this thick envelope are clouds of sulfuric acid, stacked in layer upon layer, circling the planet and hiding the sun from view. These clouds reflect most of the sunlight away, and what does make it through is scattered, absorbed, and filtered so many times that hardly any direct light reaches the surface. If you could peer through a gap in the clouds and look upward, you would not see blue at all. The sky would appear pale yellow, sometimes even a creamy white, colored by the endless fog of sulfur and carbon dioxide. The thick clouds scatter every color of light, but they are especially good at bouncing away the shorter blue and violet waves before they get anywhere near the ground. What little sunlight filters through is a faded gold, soft and dim, like a late afternoon that never ends. Because the clouds and air are so thick, the surface of Venus is always shrouded in twilight. Shadows are faint and blurry, and even the brightest part of the day feels like a soft sunset. There is no true dawn or dusk, just a gentle muted glow that changes very little as time passes. The sun itself is rarely, if ever, visible, hidden behind the heavy ceiling of clouds that stretch from horizon to horizon. Standing on the rocky ground, you might feel as if you were inside a vast, quiet chamber lit by a golden lantern, with the world above gently humming and the air almost shimmering with heat. Venus is not a place for blue skies or starlit nights. The stars are hidden, the sun is only a rumor behind the clouds, and the sky glows with a sleepy, unchanging light. It is as if the entire planet is wrapped in a never-ending afternoon nap, soft and quiet and golden. The story of Venus's sky reminds us that blue is not a guarantee, not even on a planet so much like our own. Each world chooses its own way to greet the sun, shaped by the air above and the mysteries within. So as you drift into sleep tonight, imagine looking up from Venus's rocky plains, watching the golden sky and feeling the quiet weight of clouds pressing gently overhead. It is a world where every day is wrapped in hazy twilight, and the secret of blue remains quietly hidden, waiting for another place, another time, and another sky. When night falls and the sun has finished its journey across the sky, a different kind of light takes center stage. The moon rises, gentle and glowing, bathing the world below in a soft silvery sheen. This borrowed light has its own quiet magic, so familiar and yet so mysterious that it has inspired stories, songs and dreams for as long as people have looked upward at night. But what is moonlight truly, and why does it sometimes appear blue, silver, or even faintly orange as it glides across the nighttime sky? Moonlight is, at its heart, sunlight in disguise. The sun shines on the moon, and the moon reflects that light down to us, acting as a cosmic mirror suspended above our heads. But the journey of this light is long and gentle. Sunbeams must first travel across the gulf of space to touch the dusty, rocky surface of the moon. There, the moon's surface, with its ancient craters and fine powder, scatters the light in every direction. Some of it finds its way toward Earth, glowing pale and cool as it moves through the darkness. When this silvery light reaches our planet, it does not always arrive in the same way. If the moon is high overhead on a clear night, its light might appear almost white or bluish, especially when the air is cold and dry. This is because the blue part of the spectrum is less scattered by the thin nighttime air, reaching your eyes more directly. The world below seems to glow in gentle shades, as if the moon were painting everything with a soft blue brush. Sometimes, though, the moon hangs low on the horizon, peeking between the branches of distant trees or the rooftops of sleeping towns. Then, its light must travel through more of the Earth's atmosphere, passing through thicker air and meeting dust and tiny particles along the way. Just as with sunlight at sunset, this longer journey means that the bluer part of moonlight is scattered away, leaving behind a warmer, sometimes orange or golden glow. The color of the moon changes from night to night, painting a different picture each time it rises. Clouds drifting across the sky can add their own subtle touch, softening the moon's glow or turning it faint and silvery, like a light behind frosted glass. On rare nights after storms or wildfires, the moon might even appear blue, as tiny particles in the air scatter the red part of the spectrum instead. This rare blue moon is a quiet gift from the sky, a gentle reminder that even something as constant as the moon can surprise you. Moonlight is never quite the same from one night to the next. It echoes the journey of the sun, but in its own soft, sleepy way, carrying a piece of daylight through the darkness. Each time you look up at the moon, you are witnessing a delicate balance of sunlight, lunar dust, and the air above your head. As you settle in for the night, let the moon's borrowed glow remind you that every bit of light has a story, and every color in the sky, whether blue or silver or gold, is shaped by a journey both near and far. There is a special time each day, quietly cherished by artists, poets, and dreamers alike, when the world seems to pause and the sky slips into its softest blue. This gentle window is known as the blue hour, a name that floats as easily as the color itself. It arrives just before the sun rises and just after it sets, lingering as the light shifts between night and day. Everything feels a little hushed during this time, as if the world has been wrapped in a delicate veil. During the blue hour, the sun rests just below the horizon, not yet returned or already vanished. Sunlight, though hidden, still reaches high into the sky, scattering in every direction. The shorter blue waves are scattered best, filling the air with a color that is neither bright nor dark, neither day nor night. The result is a landscape bathed in the quietest blue, a color that feels both cool and comforting. The buildings, the trees, and the rooftops take on a gentle blue hue, their sharp edges softened as if painted by a careful hand. Shadows seem to melt away, and sounds become more distant, as if carried off by the color itself. If you ever find yourself awake in the blue hour, perhaps stepping out for a moment before breakfast or lingering on a porch as evening falls, you might notice how different the world feels. Streetlights seem brighter, their golden glow mixing with the blue and creating a dreamy palette that cannot be found at any other time of day. The air feels still and expectant, as if waiting for something to begin, or quietly letting go of what has just ended. It is a time for gentle reflection, for wandering thoughts, and for letting your mind drift as the color deepens around you. Photographers treasure this hour, knowing that the blue light brings out a softness and richness in every scene. The sky glows, but not with the boldness of midday or the drama of sunset. Instead, the blue hour is a time of in-betweens, where colors blend and fade and nothing feels hurried. Even the birds seem to quiet their songs, as if respecting the peace that settles over the earth. This sleepy transition is a reminder that not all beauty is loud or bright. The blue hour is a gentle gift, a promise that every day and every night are linked by something calm and constant. It invites you to slow down and notice the world in a different light, to find comfort in the ordinary and the fleeting. The blue will fade as all colors do, but its memory lingers on, promising a return with each dawn and dusk. As the hour ends and the sky slowly warms or darkens, you might find yourself feeling rested, a little more at ease with the rhythm of the world. The blue hour, in its quiet wisdom, shows that sometimes the softest moments carry the most wonder, offering peace and comfort as you move gently between sleep and waking. Sometimes, the sky decides to surprise us, trading its usual blue for a palette of colors that feel both strange and mesmerizing. When smoke from wildfires drifts high above the land, or when a distant volcano releases a plume of ash into the air, everything can change. These moments are gentle reminders that the sky is not a fixed painting but a living canvas, constantly shaped by the world below and the invisible forces above. Smoke and dust are made up of particles much larger than the tiny molecules of oxygen and nitrogen that fill the air on most clear days. When sunlight passes through a sky filled with these larger particles, something new happens. The blue light, which usually scatters in every direction and gives the sky its calming color, is blocked or scattered away by the thick haze. What remains are the longer, richer waves of sunlight, those beautiful reds, oranges, and sometimes even eerie yellows that paint the sky in times of smoke or heavy dust. You might remember a morning when you woke up and saw the sun shining through a veil of smoke, its light tinted a deep coppery orange, so bright and strange it almost looked like another planet. On those days, the whole sky can take on an otherworldly appearance. The blue fades to grey, sometimes touched with pink or rust, and the sun itself becomes a glowing ember, its shape softened by the haze. Even the clouds, if any drift by, are tinted by the change, glowing gold or scarlet along their edges. Volcanoes can bring about the same transformation. When a volcano erupts, it sends ash and tiny droplets of sulfur into the upper layers of the atmosphere. These particles can spread across continents, traveling on high winds and settling far from their original home. The result is often a sky that glows at sunrise and sunset with breathtaking color. Sunsets after a volcanic eruption can be especially vivid, with bands of purple, red, and even green stretching across the horizon. Painters and poets have written about these rare evenings, when the sky seems to remember every color it has ever seen. Sometimes, after the dust settles or the smoke drifts away, the blue returns even deeper and brighter than before, as if the sky is taking a long, slow breath. The world below feels freshly washed, as if everything has been reset. But for a while, during those smoky or dusty days, you are given a chance to see the sky in a new way, to remember how much of its beauty depends on what passes through the air above. So, if you find yourself staring up at a sky that looks unfamiliar, painted in colors you have never seen, take a quiet moment to wonder at the change. The sky is always telling a scroll, the new story, shaped by distant fires, restless winds, and the slow dance of earth and Sunday. Each color, no matter how brief, is a gentle reminder that the world above is as alive as the one below, both changing and enduring, both familiar and forever full of surprise. If you have ever sat beside a quiet lake or stood at the edge of the sea on a clear day, you may have noticed how the water seems to borrow the sky's color. The surface of the ocean, a pond, or even a simple puddle often glows with the same gentle blue that stretches above. This reflection is one of nature's simplest illusions, a partnership between sky and water that fills the world with calm and beauty. When sunlight falls on water, part of it is absorbed and part of it is reflected. The smooth surface of a still lake acts like a mirror, picking up the colors of the sky above and sending them back to your eyes. On a day when the sky is bright and clear, the water below appears just as blue, echoing every subtle change in light and weather. If clouds drift overhead, their white and grey shapes are painted on the surface too. When the sky glows with the pinks and golds of sunset, the water becomes a canvas for those colors as well, doubling the beauty of the moment. But the color of water is shaped by more than just reflection. Sunlight is made of many different wavelengths, each corresponding to a different color. As sunlight enters the water, the longer red and orange waves are absorbed more quickly, leaving behind the shorter blue waves. These blue waves scatter within the water, bouncing off tiny particles and molecules. The result is a blue that is deeper and richer than simple reflection alone could provide. This is why the water of the open ocean can appear such a deep, endless blue, even when the sky above is a softer shade. On some days, the wind stirs the surface, breaking up the reflections into shimmering patterns of light. Waves and ripples catch the sunlight, scattering it in all directions. The blue may be interrupted by flashes of silver or white, or by the dark shadows of passing clouds. In shallow waters, where sunlight can reach the bottom, the colors can shift again, blending with the golden browns and greens of sand and plants. Every body of water becomes its own work of art, shaped by sky, light, and the quiet life that stirs beneath the surface. Even in a puddle after rain, you can see the sky's reflection. Sometimes, the blue is broken by the tread of a shoe or the drifting of a leaf, but the illusion remains. The water holds the sky, even if only for a moment, and you can find a piece of the heavens at your feet. This gentle partnership between water and sky is always there, waiting for anyone who will pause and look. It is a reminder that the world is full of quiet echoes, where one thing gives its beauty to another. The blue above is never alone. It is mirrored below, shared and doubled, inviting us to see the world not just as it is, but as it is reflected and remembered in every still moment. Far in the north and the south, where the world grows cold and the nights stretch longer than most of us can imagine, the sky has its own special stories to tell. The blue of the day remains, soft and endless, but at night, something new appears. Curtains and ribbons of colour, green and purple, sometimes tinged with red or white, dancing silently above snow and ice. These are the auroras, the northern and southern lights, and they remind us that the sky's palette is far richer than blue alone. During the day, even near the poles, the sky often wears its familiar blue. The air scatters sunlight in every direction, just as it does everywhere else on Earth. In the crisp, cold light of Arctic or Antarctic day, the blue can seem even brighter, made clearer by the clean air and the pure white snow that reflects every colour back toward the sky. In summer, the sun can stay above the horizon for weeks, turning the sky a constant blue that never truly darkens, but simply softens at the edges. But when darkness finally falls, especially in the long winters, the true wonders begin. The aurora is born when charged particles from the sun, carried on solar winds that race through space, reach the Earth and collide with the highest parts of the atmosphere near the magnetic poles. These tiny visitors, invisible and silent, meet the gases of the upper air and set them alight. Oxygen and nitrogen, usually quiet and unseen, glow with soft, shifting light as the particles pass through. Greens are most common, but blues, purples and pinks join in, forming waves and arcs that move with the slow grace of a dream. People who live in these far regions wait eagerly for the aurora, gathering under blankets or standing in the snow, eyes wide and quiet as the lights unfold overhead. There is no sound, only the hush of wind and the gentle crackle of ice underfoot. Sometimes the colours dance quickly, flickering and weaving like living things. Other times, they drift and settle in pale sheets, glowing softly for hours before fading into the stars. Even when the aurora is not present, the polar sky holds its own quiet beauty. In the heart of winter, the sun may not rise for days or even months. The sky grows deep blue at noon, fading to midnight blue by afternoon, a gentle arc between darkness and dawn. Sometimes, halos or pillars of light appear, formed by ice crystals floating in the air, adding more layers to the silent spectacle above. For travellers and those who call the polar regions home, these skies become a source of wonder and comfort. The blue of day and the colours of night weave together, reminding everyone who watches that the sky is alive and full of surprises. It is a place where sunlight, air, and the energy of distant stars come together, painting a world both peaceful and wild, always waiting for new eyes to look up and dream. Have you ever noticed, on a clear day, how shadows outdoors seem to hold a hint of blue? Step beneath the leafy branches of a tree, or find yourself in the deep shade beside a building, and you might catch at a coolness in the colour, a gentle reminder that sunlight and sky are always at work, shaping even the quietest corners of the world. This touch of blue in the shade is easy to overlook, yet it reveals another secret of the sky's quiet magic. When the sun is shining brightly, its golden light falls in a straight line, illuminating everything it touches. Where that light is blocked, a shadow forms. It seems simple at first. The sun's light is missing, and so the shadow should be dark or even black. But our world is never quite that simple. Light does not only travel in straight lines, it also scatters and bounces. As sunlight pours through the sky, the shorter blue waves are scattered in every direction by the air's tiny molecules. This scattered blue light is what gives the sky its familiar colour, filling the world above with a soft, even glow. Even in the deepest shadow, where the sun's direct rays are blocked, the open sky is still visible. The blue light from above continues to reach into the shade, painting every surface with its cool, gentle colour. That is why the shadows on a sunny day never seem truly black. They are touched by the sky, softly lit by blue light that wraps around the corners, slipping quietly beneath branches, awnings, and rooftops. If you look closely at the shadowed snow in winter, or at the grass beneath a tree in midsummer, you might notice how the blue deepens the shade, making the scene feel calm and restful. Artists have long paid attention to this hidden colour, adding blue or purple to their paintings to capture the true mood of daylight. The Impressionists, in particular, love to show the way shadows come alive with sky color, filling their landscapes with soft, cool tones. It is not just a trick of the eye, but a gentle truth of physics, one that anyone can see given a little time and a little wonder. As the day moves on, the angle of the sun changes, and so does the color of the shadows. Early in the morning or late in the afternoon, when the sunlight is warmer and the sky glows with softer colors, the blue in the shade becomes less pronounced. But at midday, when the sun is high and the sky its bluest, the shadows are at their coolest, filled with the gentle touch of scattered light. The next time you walk outside on a bright day, take a moment to watch the color in the shade. Notice how the blue settles quietly beneath trees and beside walls, how it changes with the hour, and how it adds depth to everything it touches. The sky is not only above you, it is in every shadow and every space where sunlight cannot reach. It is a quiet reminder that the world is always more colorful and more connected than it first appears. The sky above us is painted blue for human eyes, but not every creature sees it that way. The world is full of eyes, big and small, simple and complex, each one designed to sense light in its own special way. Birds, insects, and many other animals all have their own ways of looking up, and for some, the sky is not just blue, but filled with colors and patterns that remain hidden from human sight. Take birds, for example. Many species, especially those that migrate over long distances, are able to see beyond the colors we know. Their eyes can detect ultraviolet light, a kind of light that is invisible to us. To a bird flying high, the sky is not only blue but may also contain patterns and gradients that help with navigation. Some birds even use the polarization of light, another invisible sky clue, to find their way, following the secret map that the sun and sky draw across the world each day. Their vision helps them travel across continents, always knowing where to go, guided by clues hidden in the light above. Insects, too, experience the sky in ways we can only imagine. Bees, for instance, can also see ultraviolet light. On a sunny day, a bee looks up and sees not just a field of blue, but a sky filled with signals and directions. They use the sky's color and patterns to return home to their hive, even when the landscape below looks the same in every direction. The blue sky is like a giant signpost, guiding them through the air and helping them find flowers and friends. Some animals, such as fish and amphibians, may see the sky through water. Their eyes are tuned to the filtered light that passes through the waves, helping them spot predators above or find their way to deeper, safer places. The blue of the sky is changed and softened by the water, and what appears as a sharp, endless blue to us becomes a shifting world of light and shadow for creatures below the surface. Even among humans, the way the sky is seen can vary. Some people are colorblind, missing certain types of color-detecting cells in their eyes. For them, the sky may appear less blue or take on a different shade altogether. Others might see the blue more vividly than most, noticing every subtle change as the light shifts throughout the day. The sky's color, then, is a partnership between the light that is scattered above and the eyes that look up to meet it. For us, it is blue, a color that brings calm and wonder. For many other creatures, it is something else entirely, full of hidden details, patterns, and secret messages. The next time you see a bird soaring or a bee buzzing by, imagine what the world looks like from their point of view. The sky is not only a roof for the earth, but a tapestry of information, painted in colors and signals that only a few can truly read. Every pair of eyes finds its own sky, shaped by nature's quiet wisdom and the endless changing dance of light. There is something about a blue sky that seems to lift the spirit and invite a sense of peace. All over the world, people step outside, look up, and feel a little lighter, as if the worries of the day could be carried away on a gentle breeze. The color blue has long been associated with calm, comfort, and even happiness, and the sky's endless blue seems to wrap the world in a soothing embrace. But why does this color have such a powerful effect on how we feel? And what does science have to say about the mood of blue? For as long as anyone can remember, blue has been a symbol of tranquility. It is the color of wide open spaces of sky and sea, of distant hills and quiet lakes. When sunlight scatters through the air, painting the sky blue, it gives us more than just something beautiful to look at. It gives us a sense of safety and openness, a gentle reminder that the world is vast and welcoming. Studies have shown that people who spend time outdoors, beneath blue skies, often feel more relaxed and even a little happier. The color itself seems to slow the heart and quiet the mind, making it easier to rest and breathe deeply. Scientists and artists alike have tried to understand this gentle power. Blue light has a calming effect on the body, lowering stress and encouraging peaceful feelings. Hospitals and wellness spaces often use soft blue colors for this very reason. When the sky is clear and the blue stretches from horizon to horizon, people are more likely to feel at ease, more willing to pause and simply be. Even on busy days, a patch of blue above can remind us to look up, to take a breath, and to let the mind wander for a moment. Of course, the sky's blue is not always available. Clouds may roll in, storms may hide the sun, and in some places, grey days outnumber the clear ones. But even then, the memory of blue lingers in the mind. People have learned to use the colour in art, in clothing, in the walls of homes and schools, trying to bring a bit of that gentle peace indoors. Just seeing the colour blue, even for a moment, can help the mind relax and the spirit lift, as if the sky itself has found a way to reach us, no matter where we are. Blue is not just a colour, but a feeling one that drifts down from above and settles softly inside. It reminds us to slow down, to enjoy the present, and to find comfort in the world as it island. Whether you are sitting in a quiet park, walking along a beach, or simply gazing out a window, let the blue of the sky remind you to rest, to dream, and to trust that peace is always within reach. The sky's gentle mood is a lullaby for the world, one that everyone can share, no matter the time or place. There are times when the blue sky disappears completely, hidden away behind layers of cloud or lost in the bright glow of city lights. On these days and nights, it is easy to forget that blue was ever there at all. The world above becomes a blanket of grey, a ceiling of fog, or a dome filled with the orange and yellow hues of street lamps and neon signs. Yet even when you cannot see the familiar blue, it remains quietly present, waiting for its moment to return. Clouds are master storytellers, sometimes drifting lightly and letting patches of blue peek through, and other times gathering in thick, soft masses that cover the sky from edge to edge. On an overcast day, the sky seems lower and closer, the light diffused and gentle, erasing the shadows and softening every sound. The blue that filled the world with comfort is hidden, replaced by a quieter, more contemplative mood. Some days, the clouds linger for hours or even days, offering a gentle reminder that the sky is always changing. Even in the heart of a storm, with rain tapping on windows and wind rattling branches, the blue above waits patiently, just out of sight. At night in the city, the sky can look nothing like the peaceful blue of day. Streetlights cast their golden glow upward, illuminating every cloud and dust particle in their path. Instead of blackness or blue, the sky glows with shades of yellow, pink, or even red. In some places, so many lights fill the night that the stars themselves become hard to find. The sky, once an endless space for wonder and dreams, feels smaller and more distant, lost behind a veil of brightness. Yet high above the city's lights, the true sky remains, filled with stars and planets, stretching as blue and vast as ever for anyone who can escape the glare and find a patch of darkness. Fog adds its own soft touch to the sky, wrapping rooftops and treetops in a silvery shroud. The world becomes smaller, quieter, and the sky feels almost like a secret. It is easy to imagine, in these moments, that blue has vanished for good. But just as every night leads to morning, every storm and cloud will one day give way. The wind may pick up, the rain may fade, and suddenly a crack of blue will appear, bright and reassuring, reminding you that the sky has not forgotten you after all. The absence of blue can make its return feel even more precious. When the clouds part and the sun appears, the world seems brighter, lighter, and full of hope. The blue feels deeper and more vivid after days of grey, as if the sky itself is celebrating its return. It is a gentle lesson from above. Patience is rewarded, and beauty is never lost forever. The sky's blue is always there, even when hidden from view, ready to return as soon as the world is ready to welcome it back. In this way, the sky teaches us to look up, to wait, and to find wonder in the changes that drift quietly overhead. Far beyond our own world, the universe is filled with planets circling distant stars, each with its own sky and story. Astronomers spend long, quiet nights searching for these faraway worlds, hoping to find a hint of something familiar among the endless darkness and mystery. Every so often, a telescope catches the faint glow of an exoplanet's atmosphere, offering clues about what the sky might look like on a world so far away that no human has ever seen it in person. Some of the most exciting discoveries come when astronomers find a hint of blue in the light from a distant planet. This gentle color, so familiar here on Earth, is a special sign. When a planet passes in front of its star, a tiny bit of starlight shines through the planet's atmosphere and reaches our telescopes. Scientists use this light to learn about the air above that distant world. If the atmosphere scatters blue light more than any other color, the planet's sky may be blue, just like ours. One of the first exoplanets to show a blue sky is a planet called HD 189733b, spinning quickly around a star in the constellation Vulpecula. The blue seen from this planet is not quite the gentle blue of a summer afternoon on Earth. Instead, it is a deep, vibrant blue, shaped by clouds of glass and fierce, whirling winds. Tiny particles in the air scatter the blue part of the starlight, much like the molecules in our own atmosphere, but the story is stranger, wilder, and a little more dangerous. Winds on HD 189733b can blow at thousands of kilometers per hour, and glass may rain sideways across the sky. Yet still, for a brief moment, the blue shines through, a soft echo of home in a place nothing like our own. Other exoplanets have skies painted in different shades, from pale yellow to blood red, depending on the air and clouds swirling high above. Astronomers use every bit of information the light brings, working out what the air is made of and how thick the clouds may be. The color of a planet's sky tells a story about temperature, weather, and even the possibility of life. It is a way to reach across the endless dark, to imagine what it would be like to stand beneath an alien sky and look up. The search for blue skies beyond Earth is more than just a scientific puzzle. It is a kind of dreaming, a way to wonder about the worlds that wait far beyond our reach. When astronomers find a blue sky, even on a planet so hot or strange that no one could ever live there, it reminds us that the universe is full of surprises, some gentle and familiar, some wild and new. The next time you look up at your own blue sky, you can imagine distant planets circling their stars, each with its own story, its own colors, and its own dreams hidden in the light above. The sky, it seems, is a language spoken everywhere, and blue is one of its oldest and kindest words. Long before scientists unraveled the secrets of sunlight and air, people told stories about the sky in ways that now seem both familiar and mysterious. The color blue, which fills our days so completely, was not always a part of human language or imagination. Ancient poets and storytellers rarely spoke of blue skies or blue seas, choosing instead words like bronze, green, or even the wine dark for oceans and heavens. It is as if blue was hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice its gentle presence overhead. In the writings of Homer, one of the oldest storytellers in Western tradition, the sky is never called blue. The sea, too, is more often described as dark or wine-colored, deep and shifting. In ancient Egypt, blue was a rare and precious color, created from ground minerals and reserved for the clothing and jewelry of pharaohs and gods. Many ancient languages had words for black, white, red, yellow, and green, but not for blue. Only as dyes and paints became more common did the word for blue appear in everyday speech. Some thinkers believe that people may not have truly noticed blue until they had a name for it. Without the word, the color blended into the world, easy to overlook among the more dramatic shades of sunrise, sunset, or storm. Blue is a quiet color, rarely bold except in the sky above or the distant sweep of the sea. It does not demand attention but waits patiently, offering its calm when someone is ready to see it. Other cultures, too, reveal a gentle mystery. In some old Japanese poems, the word for blue and green was the same, and the fresh green of springtime grass was described using the same word as the endless summer sky. In early Hebrew texts, the sky is called rakia, meaning the firmament, but its color is not clearly described. In ancient China, blue was linked with youth, immortality, and the heavens, Yet the sky itself was just as often called black or clear. Only in the last few centuries did blue take its place as the color of the sky. Painters began to use new pigments, and writers celebrated the wide blue dome above as a symbol of hope, freedom, and peace. Scientists slowly uncovered the truth behind the color, showing that the blue of the sky is a trick of scattered sunlight, but the old stories still linger, shaping the way people see the world. Today, blue is everywhere. It is the color of school uniforms, favorite shirts, quiet rivers, and children's bedrooms. Yet the memory of a sky that was not always blue lives quietly in our stories and songs, a reminder that every color is a meeting of nature and imagination. The sky's gentle blue was always there, but people learned to see it in their own time, each culture and language giving it a name and a meaning of its own. In the end, the sky is as much a story as it is a science, and every time you look up, you become part of that gentle, ongoing tale. If you look up on a clear day and find yourself wondering about the color of the sky, you are not alone. For centuries, curious minds have watched the blue above and tried to understand its secret recipe. Some asked with poetry, others with paint, but a few quiet scientists chose to ask with gentle questions and careful experiments. Among these were Rayleigh and me, whose names are still spoken with a kind of hushed respect in the world of physics, though their stories are as soft and ordinary as the blue they studied. Lord Rayleigh, whose real name was John William Strutt, spent long hours watching the world, finding beauty in things most people never paused to notice. He wondered why the sky was blue, why sunsets burned red, and why the world sometimes changed color so gently that you hardly noticed. Rayleigh did not rush to solve these mysteries. Instead, he worked slowly, building a theory one gentle step at a time. With simple equipment and thoughtful patience, he discovered that tiny particles in the air scatter light. Shorter waves like blue and violet are scattered much more easily than longer, slower waves like red. This became known as Rayleigh scattering, a simple law with a poetic heart. The small things in the world are the best at turning sunlight into sky color. Later, another scientist, Gustav Mie, added his own quiet chapter. Mie studied how bigger particles like water droplets, smoke, or dust scatter light differently from tiny air molecules. He found that when particles grow large enough, the rules of scattering change. Instead of making the sky blue, they turn it grey or white, as in a sky full of clouds or a day after a dusty wind. Mie's work helps explain why the sky is not always blue, and why it changes mood with the weather, the seasons, and even the time of day. Their discoveries did not make the sky any less beautiful. If anything, understanding how blue comes to be only adds to the sense of wonder. The math behind their theories is gentle and rhythmic, almost like a lullaby written in numbers. The equations say that every patch of blue above is the result of millions of tiny dances between sunlight and air. Each time a beam of light meets a molecule, it is nudged, spun, and sent off in a new direction. The blue fills every open space, turning empty air into a living canvas. Rayleigh and Mie were scientists, but in their own ways, they were also poets. They found comfort in the small and the simple, believing that the world's greatest mysteries could be hidden in the most ordinary places. The blue sky is their legacy, a gift passed down from questioners and dreamers to everyone who has ever looked up and felt a sense of peace. The next time you see a patch of blue or watch a cloud drift across the sun, remember that the story of the sky is written by both nature and those who have quietly tried to understand it. Every poem, every painting, every gentle question adds to the blue above, turning science into a kind of sleepy song that welcomes all who wonder. As the day draws to a close, the world above gently shifts once again. The blue sky, which seemed so endless and bright just hours before, begins to fade. The sun slips lower, painting the horizon with colors that deepen from gold to amber, then slowly to violet and grey. The blue that once filled every corner of the sky grows paler, softer, until at last it disappears altogether, leaving behind a vast canvas ready for night's quiet stories. This fading of blue is a peaceful transition, a reminder that all things come and go in their time. As the last light of day is scattered and stretched by the thickening air, blue waves slip quietly away. The deeper, longer reds and purples remain a little longer, casting their warmth across clouds and rooftops. Then, as twilight deepens, even these colors surrender to the cool hush of evening. Above, the first stars appear, shy at first, then brighter, until the sky is filled with 1,000 tiny lights. Night brings its own wonders. The sky grows dark, a gentle velvet that seems to stretch on forever. Sometimes the moon rises, silver and round, casting a pale glow over the world below. On clear nights, the Milky Way may become visible, a soft band of starlight reminding us how much lies beyond our everyday world. The air grows quiet, the sounds of day replaced by the distant music of crickets, the soft rustling of leaves, and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breath. For centuries, people have watched this slow changing of the sky, marking time by the fading of blue and the coming of darkness. Some find comfort in knowing that blue will always return, as sure as the sun will rise again in the morning. Others find peace in the quiet of night, when worries can drift away and dreams can take their place. The disappearance of blue is not a loss, but a gentle invitation to rest, to close your eyes, and to let the mind wander where it will. Every night, the world begins again. The sky's blue will return with the dawn, fresh and bright, ready to welcome a new day. Until then, you are wrapped in the calm of darkness, with stars overhead as your silent companions. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the hush that settles over the world, a lullaby written in moonlight and shadows, promising that all is well. As you drift towards sleep, remember that blue is never truly gone, only resting, ready to return at the next sunrise. The story of the sky is one of gentle comings and goings, a quiet rhythm that soothes and reassures night after night and day after day. May the memory of blue carry you into peaceful dreams, and may the promise of its return bring you comfort, no matter how long the night. So as you let your eyes grow heavy and your thoughts float away, remember the blue sky above is never quite as empty as it seems. It's a gentle dance of sunlight and air, a lullaby painted in scattered color, quietly returning every morning to watch over your dreams. Wherever you are, and however the sky looks outside your window, may your night be as calm as a blue horizon at dawn. May your dreams be full of slow clouds, soft sunlight, and the peaceful promise that blue will always return. Sleep well, rest easy, and remember, the universe is full of everyday wonders, quietly waiting for you to look up. Good night, dear dreamer, and may the sky above your sleep always be just the color you need.